Hello! Today we play the Monster Hunter Stories 3 demo that is currently available on Steam on our little Steam Deck here. Let's see if we get into good frame rates and what graphical settings we can choose from and what could be the best setup. So the game releases still in March 2026, not that long away anymore. And we are here on the Steam Deck OLED with our 90 Hz panel. Theoretically, we can take benefit of up to 90 FPS here. Let's see if we get anywhere close to that. And in the menu we are locked at 30 FPS, you can see here. Let's see if we can get a cap also to 60-90 or make it directly variable. Let's see what we can choose from. So let's go into the options first. And let's look into the graphical settings. So the graphical settings are basically set to low from the beginning. We can choose between custom, low, medium and high. Upscaling is turned off. We would have the possibility to use AMD's FSR 3.1.4 here as upscaling algorithm. Let's start also with that turned off. Later on we can turn it on to give it a try. We have anti-aliasing turned on to TAA. We have the render scaling, that is the resolution, so it's at native resolution here. Texture quality low, cloud image quality low, grass tree quality is actually high, surface quality low, shadow quality low, ambient occlusion is high, bloom on, motion blur on, fog low. Okay, so basically low settings with a native resolution to start with. And it's running at 720p here. So not on 800p, but 720p. And there's a frame rate cap that we will remove now. So let's see where we can get. We are interested in up to 90 FPS. VSync is turned on. But yeah, great options already to choose from, and we can play around with that a bit. So you can see here also that it can assign maximum of 6 GB to VRAM from the 16 GB that the machine has. And at the moment we have an estimated VRAM usage of 3.68 GB. So let's get started first with those settings, and then we can adjust in game. And we are also now at 90 FPS in our cap here. So let's start a new game and see how it goes. So we can first of all choose our player, and I will just leave here the presets. You can play around with it here, but I think here, just to get started, we will just take the default settings here. Didn't display the controller inputs yet, but rather the keyboard input, so I guess I can improve it still a bit more to be verified here on the Steam Deck. Now we are at 60 FPS for this intro cutscene. I will leave the intro cutscene also running. If you want to jump ahead, you can find the chapters below inside this video. You can see that the frame rate actually moves in between 30 and 60 FPS here inside this cutscene. And yeah, as you remember from the beginning, the starting point will be native resolution without upscaling with low presets. Style-wise, the game looks a bit like the latest Zelda games, I would say.
Wait, stay back! Queen Amara.
So let's see what we have here. Looks a bit like the Dragon Axe in Game of Thrones. Here it's actually went down a moment to 30 FPS almost. But the graphics look also very nice here on the Steam Deck, I have to say. We're using a total of around 10 gigabytes of RAM here. 3 gigabytes as assigned to VRAM. Let's see if a dragon comes out of this egg too.
Have you seen one before?
Look at that. Incredible. Could it be? Let us commence. The rite of emergence.
Back to 60 FPS.
I can hear them. Two sounds. Overlapping each other. There's one.
And yes, it's a little dragon. What a surprise.
That's a Rathalos, plain as day. It's a miracle. An extinct species here in our kingdom.
And two.
They're twins. An ill omen indeed. And look at their scales. Like those of the accursed sky scale Rathalos.
Twin monsters are a portent of disaster. Should you wish to oppose this omen, ancient custom dictates that only one may live.
Right now it went down to 35 FPS more or less. See if we jump ahead a bit.
We need to get back fast.
So gameplay starts now with around 46 FPS. Native resolution, no upscaling, low presets. So I guess if you want to play with around 40 to 50 FPS, those default settings are pretty fine. We will tune that in a moment a bit. Now it went down to 30 FPS here, since it needs to render a lot in the background. Oh, we just had a big hit to 15 FPS when the dragon touched the water. So we can fly around here actually. Pretty nice. With around 35 FPS. So the default settings, native resolution, low presets, have basically a target of more 30 FPS than 60, I guess. So depending on what is on screen, you might get to 50 FPS at some points. But there was also already a dip to like 18 FPS. Let's move to some more gameplay. Okay, so it's a trial version. So walking inside this castle is at the moment at 35-40 FPS. Native resolution, no upscaling and low presets. And let's see how we can, if we can change that now a little bit. Let's see. To get into the settings here. Alright, so let's say we want to play this with high graphical settings. So actually you can see already a red warning here that it's taking more VRAM than what the Steam Deck wants to assign as maximum. So that will probably get us a bigger hit on the frame rate. But now everything basically being set to high here. Let's see what the frame rate says about that. So 30 FPS at the moment. Take a look what else we can change. So if we combine this now with upscaling, so high settings with upscaling now.
Your Highness.
See if we can continue walking. So around 40 FPS now. Yeah, but the upscaling makes it also look a bit rough around the edges sometimes when we move around, because then it dynamically switches obviously the resolution. So let's see if we really would like to get very high frame rates here in this game. Then we would... it's actually I have also different upscaling modes. Quality, performance, ultra performance. So if we select here ultra performance, see what happens. So it will very easily then downgrade the resolution, and you can see that already that there are lots of pixels now on screen here basically. So that's definitely not how I would play. 45 FPS is also not worth it, I guess. So let's see if we want to have a decent setup. Graphic quality probably medium. I would actually not use then the upscaling, because it was quite good at least with low settings. Let's see what happens if we use medium settings with no upscaling. 720p. Then it looks pretty nice, and you get around 30 FPS. So if you are fine with playing this with 30 FPS, then you should be good with medium settings and native resolution without upscaling. If you want to get to 60 FPS or even 90 FPS, let's see what we could select there. So then it would be low presets and upscaling. And probably the balanced setup. Could also take a look at quality. Oh, let's take this one, native anti-aliasing while maintaining native resolution. Let's see what that happens. So we're having now low presets with the upscaling, the native AA from AMD. That brings us now more into a 40 FPS range. Let's see if we would really get even higher frame rates. Then we would need to choose here custom. And we can select still a bit more and put those lower. Draw distance and near, low, low. Okay, so this is now everything at the lowest settings here. Texture quality even has the lowest one. And let's try to put in here without upscaling, so lowest settings, 720p without upscaling. And that brings us to around 50 FPS. And let's say we really want to get into 60 FPS or even more. Then we would need to enable also upscaling and put it there to ultra performance. So everything at low settings basically, and upscaling enabled to ultra performance now gives us around 60 FPS. Now we were actually close to 70 FPS, and I think that's the highest frame rate that you can get here. Even if the cap right now is at 90, I don't think we get until there. And actually I would also decrease it still a bit and not only go for performance. So with 40-50 FPS is probably good enough here for me. So this is the setup now with lowest presets and upscaling to performance. And now let's take a look how I will continue playing this. So I would keep it at low settings and no upscaling, and maybe the texture quality to medium to increase that a little bit. We're still at 4 out of the 6 GB of VRAM that can be assigned. That looks quite good. Anything else? Let's make draw distance medium, and that could be a nice setup to move with around 40-50 FPS and have the game looking very nice. So almost 50 FPS right now. So a balance out of low and medium settings and native resolution. And we move with around 40-50 FPS. So I think that will be my setup to continue now here. Let me know in the comments how you are going to play this game and what settings. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time.